welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a foundation review on this Guerlain foundation here. This is the newest Guerlain foundation, the Terracotta Le Teint. So this did launch earlier in France. That's where I live. So I picked this up. I've been testing this for at least 3 weeks now. It's been a long time. And as I'm filming this, it looks like it's up on the USA website, but it does say coming soon. So I don't have like an official launch date of when it's coming to the US, but I think it's closer to arriving than it was previously. But in today's video, I'll be going over details of this foundation. I'll also be inserting in swatches, then inserting in clips of the first time that I tried this foundation, just my very first impressions, going over what my thoughts were on that. And then I'll be going over my final thoughts. Since I have been wearing this for quite a long time now, I've actually probably out of all the foundations that I've been testing, because there have been a lot of foundation releases this year already in 2023. I've tried this one out the most. I've extensively tested this foundation. I have a lot of thoughts on it. So if that all sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's just get started talking about the details of this foundation. All right, so I haven't really seen too many reviews on this. I have seen a lot of people talk about this like in their will I buy it videos, or if they're gonna pick it up or not. And there seems to be just polarizing opinions. Instantly when I saw this, I wanted to pick it up. I have quite a few Guerlain foundations. I really enjoy the Lingerie de Peau foundation, the Healthy Glow, the Essential. That one's not my favorite, but I also picked up this Gold Skin Matte Foundation. I picked this up around holiday time, and I've been meaning to do a foundation review on it. I just haven't yet because all these new foundations started coming out, and I decided to just prioritize the newer launches over this. But I will be comparing this foundation soon and doing a foundation wear test, and then probably ranking all my Guerlain foundations now that I have 4. And I think that that's most of them other than their skin tint. Needless to say, I was instantly attracted to this foundation. I saw some people thinking because it's the terracotta line that maybe it was supposed to be a bronzy foundation. However, I don't think that that's the case. I think that Guerlain is just trying to capitalize on their very well-known terracotta line. This is not supposed to be a bronzy foundation. So this does retail for $62 US, and it comes in 30 shades. I did, however, pick it up for 56 euros, so a little bit less expensive in Europe, even taking the exchange rate into account. But you win some, you lose some, because sometimes I pay more for US products and they convert it way higher over here. So it just is what it is. And this foundation, their tagline is the perfection of a foundation, the lightness of a powder. So that's really just their big claim, is that this is a very lightweight, natural looking foundation. I didn't see any information on the kind of skin type this is best for. I'll go over my thoughts just at the end here, my final thoughts. And for reference, I do have normal leaning dry skin, and I prefer a more light to medium coverage, and I really just prefer a natural finish. I'm not looking for something overly dewy, greasy. I'm not looking for something overly matte. So those are my preferences. And they do say it's supposed to be a natural finish, and then they claim that it's matte and luminous. So I think that that's just circling back to natural finish. It's not leaning one way towards the other. Then their other biggest claim, it says here all over the bottle here, is that it's 24-hour wear, so long wearing and transfer proof. They really hammer that all over their website, that it's very long wearing, transfer proof, and it's supposed to be a buildable coverage, but more of a medium full coverage finish. So that's just a little bit about the details of this foundation. I'm going to insert in my swatch photo right here, just comparing the Guerlain foundations that I have. As I just mentioned, I have 4 of the foundations, and I have different shades in all of them. In the terracotta, I have the shade 2N. I think it's a decent shade for me. I think it's maybe a little bit just dark now that it's winter time, but I think summertime it almost might be too light. So it's a good in-between shade. In the Gold Skin Matte, I actually picked up the shade 1.5N, and I did that because originally I purchased this in dead winter around holiday time, like I mentioned, and I thought maybe I should go a little bit lighter. And I believe that in the other ones, I haven't done my swatch photo yet, but you're looking at it right now. I have the shades 2W and 2N in the Lingerie Depot. So you can kind of just see a little bit of the close shades to each other and how they match up in the different formulas. I would say, even though that this is supposed to be a neutral undertone, it does lean a little bit on the warm side. I can't talk about the rest of the shade range though, because I only have one shade to compare it to. So that's just some swatches there. Now that I've talked about the details of this foundation, gone over swatches, I kind of want to just go over the first time that I tried this foundation. I tried to test a foundation multiple times now to just get more than a first impression. I used to just do a first impression wear test. I sometimes still do that. I've done that. I might do it with this one. We'll just see. I'm still deciding on just what kind of content I prefer and what kind of content you prefer. You'll have to just let me know in the comments. Do you prefer when I do a full day wear test and take you throughout my day and do a first impression, or do you like it more when I insert in the clips of me applying it, kind of just go over that and then have more detailed thoughts on a foundation? Let me know, because I'm willing to do both. But when I first applied this foundation, the very first time, I used a brush and then I went over it with a sponge. And I have here in my notes that it looked flawless. I only powdered in my T-zone, and I was surprised on how lightweight it felt. Even though that's one of the claims, I could really tell that it was very lightweight. And all my other products went on top great. I had no problems. I really liked how it looked upon initial application. And then for my check-in, which I do outside in natural daylight, so I did a check-in at the 6-hour mark. And what I noticed at the 6-hour check-in is that it was already wearing down a little bit and it was looking very glowy. Yes, I only powdered in my T-zone, but I wasn't really expecting that kind of wear down for being a 24-hour wear transfer proof foundation. So it was a little bit early, but it wasn't overly glowy. I still liked the finish. I was still very happy with the foundation. And then by the end of day, which ended up being around 10 hours, since I kind of did a later check-in, I have here in my notes, I just put glow, 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 all in the T-zone. So where I powdered had the most glow and my oils were really coming through. And I'm going to talk about that more in my final thoughts here. I do have written down though that it was borderline too much glow. The wear down is passable and my pores looked really great. So I was really impressed on how my texture looked, and I was really happy with how it wore down. It wore down very naturally. It looked very nice on the skin, but you could tell that the foundation had worn down. It didn't look like I had just applied it. Of course, that's normal, that's natural, but I have that written down. I also just noted here that I went over the foundation with a sponge and it looked good as new once I did that. Normally when I do a foundation wear test, I don't do any touch-ups, anything like that. So at the end of the day, once I finish my check-ins, I just take a sponge and kind of see like what would happen if I had touched it up, and it looked perfect afterwards. So that was just kind of my initial first impressions on this foundation. Let's now talk about my final thoughts, since I've been wearing this quite a few times. And I like this foundation. The problem with this foundation is I don't think it's for everyone. I really think that the people who like this foundation and that it gets along well with are going to love it. And I think people are going to hate it. There's going to be nobody that's just like, it's okay. I have some trouble with it. It is very finicky foundation. I did today powder all over my face. I didn't just powder in my T-zone, and I actually put my makeup on before I straightened my hair. And by the time that I had finished straightening my hair, it had already settled into like my forehead lines here. I don't know if you can tell now because I did kind of just pat it out with my sponge. That took it away. If you have very textured skin, if you have a lot of wrinkles, I don't think this is the foundation for you. The best way to wear this foundation, the only way, in my opinion, to wear this foundation is without powder. And it kind of confuses the mind because a lot of my notes here talk about how it looks so glowy and your oils come through, but I found that only when I powdered. So for some reason, whatever the powder is doing on top of the foundation is really just like bringing up the glow when I don't use powder, and I make this just like a very lightweight, natural kind of feel. So I just go in with the foundation. I go in with more of like cream products, so cream bronzer, cream blush, and I keep it really nice and I don't use powder products. That's when this foundation looks the absolute best. I would agree that it's transfer proof. Even though you have wear down, I don't agree that it's 24-hour wear time. I don't think it's long wearing. It's a decent wear time. It's not gonna, only last you 3 or 4 hours, but it's only gonna last you like a normal 8 to 10 hour day. It's not gonna last you past that. I did test this multiple ways. So I tried it with the Makeup Forever powder on top. That was terrible. The worst kind of powder foundation you could put on top. Like I said, this is just a foundation that does not need powder. And I don't know why. It's very confusing to me that it becomes oily when you put the powder on. And I'm assuming that's maybe because of their tagline, the lightness of a foundation, the feel of a powder, or whatever it is that I just said, something along those lines. But because of however this is formulated, when you wear powder, it doesn't look good. That's the last I'm going to say about that. So because of that, I don't think that this would look great for oily skin. I think that this would look great on dry skin, leaning normal. So basically my skin type, or if you're even drier, you'll have to let me know in the comments if you try this and you like it. But I could see people with more dry skin enjoying this foundation over people with oily skin. And that's just my hunch on that. I would agree that it's a natural finish. I've been wearing this for about 2 hours. I think it looks very natural. Surprisingly, I agree that it's neither matte or luminous, or it's both. It looks very matte going on the skin, but it wears very well. So it tends to look a little bit more glowy throughout the day. And again, just prefacing this is on an ideal day when I'm using no powder. So at 10 out of 10, the best it can get is that it looks matte when applied, and then during the day it gets glowy, it wears down really naturally, and that's what I love about this. What I just dislike about this foundation is that it's so finicky. I want a product that I don't have to baby, that I don't have to really be careful when I'm picking and choosing. So that's the only downside of this foundation. It is not a foundation for someone who has just a very small, minimal collection. This is for someone who's pulling it out on very specific days when they want a very specific look. And that's the only drawback to this foundation that I can find. Other than that, I think it looks beautiful on the skin if you don't have too many problem areas. I can't really speak on texture. Wrinkles, I don't think it looks great, especially if you powder. If you don't powder, it looks okay. I didn't notice this settling into fine lines until I powdered. So that would lead me to believe that as long as you don't powder, it'll look fine on top of texture. I love how it looks on my cheeks and with my pores. That texture looks fine. Just wrinkles I can't really speak too much on. So that's just kind of where I stand on this. I have a hard time giving it like a 10 out of 10, but I do want to just say again, personally, I really like this foundation. I will be doing a foundation roundup soon just because I've been testing so many foundations recently, and foundation's my favorite to review, so I have no problem with that. But I'm curious to see just where this falls in line because I love it personally. I just don't know. This isn't a foundation I would recommend to friends. So it's very just conflicting in my mind on where this would fall out of all the foundations that I've tried recently. I'm going to test 1 or 2 more before I really just make my final decision and kind of pull that video together. So just make sure you're subscribed. It's coming soon. But that's all I'm going to really say about this. I hope all of it made sense on my babbling on just who this foundation is really meant for. Like I said, it's a very conflicting foundation, and it's a very fussy foundation. However, if you have the right skin type, if you use it the right way, it is beautiful on, and I will continue to wear this. If I travel to a summer vacation, I could see myself bringing this because it's a very easy, gives you that good coverage without needing to powder. So you could just bring this with your lightweight cream products, be good to go, and still have coverage if you're not someone who maybe prefers a skin tint. But other than that, it's a very finicky foundation, and that's really all I can say about this. That's where I'm just going to leave this video. I hope this was a little bit helpful. The swatches were helpful. Let me know down below in the comments if you plan on picking up this foundation or if you already have. And with all that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.